Hello guys, and welcome to this week's video tutorial. Today will be the second board of the elephant opening and dubious positions associated with it. This topic we will discuss a very interesting counter by Black, and it demonstrates the importance of the direction of your attack, or the impact that moving a wrong piece from the wrong side of board can have on the game. So without further ado, let us begin. Now, in the elephant opening, usually e3 plus 5 is played. Now, there is no difference between playing e3 plus 5 or e7 plus 5 for the first move. Usually, e3 plus 5 is played and is seen in most books, and by default, this would be the move given for the elephant opening. Perhaps this is because most people are right-handed, so it will be there will be a natural tendency for the player to use his right hand to play e3 plus 5 instead of e7 plus 5. Now, this is okay. However, if you want to use the central cannon to attack, to counter, c8 equals to 5 should be played. Now, c2 equals to 5 would be quite a mistake that could result in many dubious positions. One of the reasons for c8 equals to 5 being better is that with c8 equals to 5, this cannon, Black would reserve the right or the option to play c2 equals to 3 to attack the elephant over here. With c2 equals to 5, Black would lose the option of playing c8 equals to 7 because there will be no elephant for Black to attack. So c8 equals to 5 has been proved to be viable in many high-level tournament matches. But c2 equals to 5 is seldom or if rarely ever seen in actual game, and this board would demonstrate some examples on why this would be so. And with c2 equals to 5, Black would be intent on attacking the pawn over here, so Red would immediately play h8 plus 7 to protect the pawn. Now h2 plus 3 would not be a good idea at this point in time, because with c2 equals to 5, Black indicates that he'll be most likely to develop his right flank with h2 plus 3, r1 equals to 2. With h8 plus 7, Red would now be faster in one move, so that when Black plays h2 plus 3, he could play r9 equals to 8, and if need be, push the pawn across to form a blockade, thereby stunting the development of Black's chariot over here. So Black does likewise, and at this point in time, Red would develop both horses as proper horses for the screen horse defense. Now, this is a very powerful and majestic formation for Black to attack. Now, as mentioned earlier, if Red chose to play c8 plus 4, a possible line would be Black would start to counter attack with h3 plus 4 and be prepared to push the pawn across the river and attack this cannon over here. So Black would be poised to counter attack. He could also capture the central pawn, etc. So usually c8 plus 4 is not played so immediately, perhaps after playing p7 plus 1, etc. Now, if p7 plus 1 were played, Black would immediately apply pressure, and p3 plus 1. Now, if Red chose to attack with h2 plus 3 or even c8 equals to 9, Black could counter with r2 equals to 3, etc. to counter attack. So p3 plus 1 is played for the double-headed stick pawns. Black would immediately attack horse, attack the horse, h3 plus 4, left river bank horse formation. Although the right horse is played, this is more commonly known by default as the left river bank horse variation. Red would play the screen horse defense as red. And c8 plus 3 is a very powerful move to attack the horse, thereby capturing the central pawn. So Black's earlier advancement of the pawn would be a pseudo sacrifice. Check. And Black would be more than able to contend and attack. Black has enough strength to counter. So usually h2 plus 3 is played, and if red were given a chance, he would be more than prepared to play c equals to 4 later on, and black would be all sorts of trouble. This would also be the position of discussion for this spot. Now, before we continue, a little bit on the opening theory. Now, it has been proven that if red played the central cannon, black played the screen house defense. The screen house defense is considered to be a viable opening or counter to the central cannon. Now, in this situation, the colors would be reversed, although red would start with the elephant opening, but he was transpositioned to the screen house defense. So in actual fact, red would now be playing the screen house defense, and theoretically speaking, if the screen house defense were able to counter the central cannon as black, red would even have a bigger advantage if he were to play the game as red, because now he will have the extra first move advantage. So red will now employ the screen house defense for attack. Now at this point in time, there are three main variations that were discussed. The first would be r2 plus 6, the second would be p3 plus 1, and the last would be h8 plus 9. All these are rather big lines, but the examples show very nice tactical combinations. So without further ado, let us begin with variation A, whereby black would counter with r2 plus 6, thereby applying immediate pressure on red's left flank. So before we continue, if black tried to defer some pressure and play p7 plus 1, a possible line would be countering p7 plus 1, r2 plus 6. Let's say if black chose to play h8 plus 7, black could play c2 plus 4, threatening to play c2 equals to 3, and even go for the dreaded double pawn rank cannons variation of the screen house defense as red, and black would be all sorts of trouble. So h8 plus 7 is usually not played. Instead, black would prevent the cannon from advancing by playing r2 plus 6, consolidating the defense to allow for the development of the chariot as a kingside chariot. Attack. Red does not have to fear, because he could now attack the pawn and capture the chariot if black captured the horse. p5 plus 1, 1 equals to 4, and red would be happy to sacrifice the chariot and then be prepared to attack the pawn, thereby capturing the chariot in this situation. So red sacrificed the horse but gains tempo and will claim the initiative, and usually it is considered that red would have a huge advantage at this point in time. So p7 plus 1 is not a good idea, neither would h8 plus 7, since neither color had pushed the pawns. Black would play p7 plus 1, threatening to play c8 plus 4, and if red were allowed to do so, black would be all sorts of trouble. So usually black would play c2 plus r2 plus 6, and red would actually play the left riverbank horse variation as red, and black would still fall behind, because now red will have an extra move because he will be playing this position as red, and he will now be prepared to play p3 plus 1. So that is why h8 plus 7 is not viable. So back to variation A, r2 plus 6. Black would play p3 plus 1, so that if black captured the pawn, he could move the horse and use the cannon to protect this horse. This is one of the powerful features of the screen house defense. Black tries to be aggressive and attack from the central file with p5 plus 1. Now, this black would choose to adopt the strategy of attacking rapidly, hoping to create a blitzkrieg attack and to gain momentum. Now, if instead black played p3 plus 1, black could defend, let's say h8 plus 9. Black could now play r1 equals to 4, threatening the cannon, forcing the advisor to move, and red would now command this cross riverbank rank. We can see that black would have much trouble trying to develop his material. he would now threaten to capture the pawn. If black played r2 equals to 3, the cannon would advance and red would have an unshakable advantage. R2 equals to 3 is also not a good idea because, as mentioned earlier, if the pawn had pushed, the cannon would now protect the horse in this manner, and this horse would now become a major threat. It could go h4 plus 6, etc. If p3 plus 1 to prevent h4 plus 6, red has c8 plus 4, preparing to play c2 equals to 3 to threaten the chariot and also capture the elephant, and black would be all sorts of trouble. Before we continue, let us show with c8 plus 4, this would not be viable because now this black chariot will be trapped. It cannot move here. This horse would have covered this intersection and black would lose material. Now if black tried to push the pawn across the river, again red will go, threaten the chariot. Again, black will lose the chariot. If say moved, this would be a check. And it is obvious that black would have black would be on the losing end. So 2 equals to 3 is a bad idea. So that is why black chose to attack rook p5 plus 1. But even so, because red was playing the screener's defense, his first move of e3 plus 5 would have already beefed up the defense on the central file. Red would now grow from strength to strength. c2 plus 1, a good move, preparing to play p7 plus 1. This is one of the commonly used tactics from the double-headed snake pawns variation, and thus threaten the black chariot. h8 plus 7. Red takes his time to develop, prepare to develop the chariot. There's also c2 equals to 3 if need be. h6 plus 4 to 7. p7 plus 1, attacking the chariot, forcing it to retreat, and red will now start to counter. Now he will be prepared to capture the horse because the chariot could attack with r4 plus 6 after trading material, and this horse would be in trouble. p5 plus 1 to allow for development of the horse. p5 plus 1, c5 plus 3, trade of material, threatening the horse. As can be seen, the horse would not have any good space to move, and red will completely control the situation because now the horse cannot advance as both intersections are covered by red pieces. It can only retreat, but there's a danger of a fork. So black will be in all sorts of trouble. This would be variation A. Let's go to variation B, whereby black will play p3 plus 1, counters with p3 plus 1, as he will prepare to blockade later on if the chance was given, and black plays h8 plus 9. Now what would happen in some cases, it would be tempting for black to counter with c8 plus 4. There's a long line given, but let us see. a4 plus 5, threatening the elephant, but red develops his right flank. Black adjusts his formation to discourage r4 plus 7. Trade of chariots. Red can only accept. To 6, a very agile maneuver. As can be seen, the chariot does not have any good intersections to move. Black tries to apply pressure on this flank. r4 plus 6 to threaten the central pawn. Attack the horse. And as can be seen, red's defenses on the left flank are more than enough. He will now start his campaign on attacking this flank. Black's pieces are still limited. He would not have any good moves to make, and red would have the obvious advantage because there's nothing that black can do much at this point. The horse can advance. Perhaps h3 plus 2 would be the only viable option, but even so, Red would many options to go. He could capture the central pawn, etc. by force, and still be attacking, etc. So c8 plus 4 is not a good idea. It is very complicated, but as can be seen, Red should have the advantage if he played correctly. So c8 plus 4, the blockade is now finally in position. Now h3 plus 4 is not advocated. Instead, c8 equals to 7 is advocated. If black played h3 plus 4 at this point, things would have changed. Black would be ready to play. Red would attack aggressively with c2 equals to 4, p3 plus 1 to try to gain material. Red attacks the central pawn since the horse had moved away, threatening sacrificing the cannon immediately. But Red would immediately gain back lost material with this very brilliant cannon fork attacking the chariot and the horse at the same time. So Red would gain back lost material, and he will have more pawns, open lines for development of the horses, and it is obvious that Red has the significant advantage. So that is why h3 plus 4 would not be viable at this point in time, since the situation on the board has changed with black playing h8 plus 9. So c8 equals to 7, and red will usually play r1 equals to 2. This is advocated. h3 plus 2, another usually seen tactic preventing the development of the chariot, is not advocated, because since red decided to focus over here, he would lose control of this attack, whereby black will now prepare to attack with p3 plus 1. So red can only red can only do one thing, but not both things at the same time. So r1 equals to 2 is better, because the horse is still protecting the central cannon. There's still the option of c2 plus 4 to attack. Black pushes the pawn. If red captures, black gains a horse. So of course red will play h4, h3 plus 4, not having to worry about the pawn because of the elephant that had been moved. So the efficiency of this elephant is also quite great. r9 plus 1. Now if black chose to play r9 equals to 8, red will be more than happy to form a blockade, and as can be seen at this point in time, all the development of all the black pieces will become very poor. Red will gain a significant advantage. c2 goes to 4 to prevent the chariot from moving over here and gaining and controlling this very important file. I can only play c9 goes to 4, and red chooses to defend nicely. Red's development of his men will coordinate it. His formation is very versatile, and he will have a situational advantage. In contrast, the efficiency of this cannon is negligible. It cannot do much. There are no obvious targets for attack. So that is why p3 plus 1 is not a good idea. To the final variation C. Black immediately plays h8 plus 9 to develop his horse as a edge horse, so that he could play c8 equals to 7, c8 equals to 6, or even advance the cannon for attack. Now, if at this point in time, let's say red will continue p7 plus 1, preparing to form a blockade, forcing the chariot to cross the river. Otherwise, if red were allowed to play c8 equals to 7, the development of all the black pieces would be black will fall further behind in the development of these pieces. Let's say, for example, c8 equals to 6, c8 plus 4, r9 equals to 8, r1 equals to 2. This chariot is more than versatile, ready to protect the horse. Red's formation is very powerful and staunch. He he uh, he can claim the initiative. Now, Black cannot play c8 -3 at this point in time to threaten the chariot because of the because Black can counter with this move. But nevertheless, Red is okay, as can be seen. This horse is ready to go, etc. h7+6. Red will now adopt or play the left riverbank horse variation by moving the horse to riverbank, preparing to play p7+1 to attack the black chariot. Now black plays c8 equals to 6, a4+5. Red is not in a hurry to push p7+1. Instead, he consolidates his defenses and allows for development of this chariot over here. And 9 equals to 8. c2 equals to 1. Red. This is not a compromise because by playing c2 equals to 1, the red chariot is free to play r1+4 to attack. Now, this would, if r1 equals to 2 were played, it would appear to be somewhat dull, and black would be given a chance to claw back, as black would play ra+4, and the effects of this horse would become greatly decreased. So ra+4, r1 equals to 4, attacking the cannon, forcing defense, and this cannon would now jump into action. Trade of cannons, a very beautiful move. A trade of chariots, a very beautiful and proactive move by red. 2+3. And the chariot is now just right, ready to protect the cannon. It is also protected by the horse, so that the cannon can move for further attack. And as can be seen on the board, red would have controlled all the front lines. Black would still have a lot of trouble trying to develop his material. The black cannot push the pawn, or he will lose the chariot, etc. So as can be seen, red's formation is very powerful. Positional wise or situational wise, red would have a significant advantage. So this would bring us to the end of this spot. Continue. Backtrack a little bit and let us view this spot from the eyes of black. As mentioned earlier, e3+5 is okay, e7+5 is also okay, but black c2 equals to 5 is not a good idea. Instead, the correct or sound move would be c8 equals to 5 if we wanted to counter with the cannon. h7 2. Red adopts the screen house defense, very versatile, giving red many options. If c8+4, black would be prepared to move the horse to the riverbank and attack the cannon. If e7+1, black will be able to mount an attack at this point in time. Black has enough strength to counter with any future attacks by red. Position discussion, variation A, r2+6, variation B, p3+1, variation C, c8+9. Now p7+1 is not a good idea because red will be able to develop his chariot as a kingside chariot and develop it here to this intersection, and thus command and control black's pawn rank and also threaten the black chariot. h8+7, not a good idea also, because red would be able to play the left riverbank horse variation as red. Variation A, r2+6, p3+1, protecting the horse indirectly, and black tries to attack with p5+1. If p3+1, red would still be faster in positioning his chariot on the most important line or file, rank of file in this spot, in this situation. r2 equals to 3, the chariot will now be in trouble. So red will play h3+4, Black advanced. There's also Black would be in the will have to face the possibility of losing his chariot. C2 plus 1, another very powerful counter. This is actually is usually discussed under the left riverbank horse variation, but with the colors reversed, and it has been proven to be a viable counter for black for the color playing the screen horse defense. So after some to and fro, black tries to attack. It's very agile maneuvering of the cannon, threatening the horse because of the cramped situation over here. After capturing the horse, red would play r4 plus 6. The black horse would have to retreat, and black's attack will slowly fizzle out. Red would start to mount his counter attack very soon. As can be seen, black is in the predicament of losing material, and red will completely control the situation. Variation B, P3 plus 1, plus 9. Immediately, red forms a blockade. Now the situation on the board has changed. H3 plus 4 is not viable, because red will be able to employ the tactic of pseudo sacrifice to gain back lost material and have a significant 3-pawn advantage. Goes to 2. If h3 plus 2 is not a good idea at this point, because with h3 plus 2, black will now be given a chance to play h3 plus 4 and attack the cannon. So red can only guard one but not both. P7 plus 1, trying to gain material. Plus 1, collapse the chariot. Red prevents r9 equals to 6 from, and red can only play r9 equals to 4, e3 minus 5, and the development of red's men will work well coordinated. Red will have a situational advantage. Finally, the last variation, h8 plus 9. Black is forced to attack, otherwise if red were allowed to play c8 plus 4, he would be in deep trouble. The left riverbank horse variation, black adopts the 5-6 cannons in the book. a4 plus 5, a very versatile move to allow the red chariot to attack, and also c1 plus 4 later on. Very nice move, threatening the pawn, attacking the elephant. After trading chariots, red would now move his chariot across the river and so attack, and obviously red would have the advantage. Now, as mentioned earlier, with the title of this video, which is a mistake in the directional attack, e3 plus 5 should be met with c8 equals to 5 and not c2 equals to 5. Now this would answer one of the most important questions in the elephant versus left central cannon opening system. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It contains many very valuable tenets on the opening theory, and shows how you can defend or attack with the screen horse defense if applied correctly. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Thank you.